Hey, Mark. Well, thanks a lot for joining us today. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. For our audience members, this is Mark Mueller, um, a longtime friend, first of all, almost 30 years. I did the numbers the other day. We're getting older, right? That middle-aged part.
Experienced.
That's right. Right. We've had a lot of mistakes to learn from.
Mm-hmm.
But he is also a heck of a businessman. So here's some fast facts about Mark Mueller and his company, Mueller Furniture. He is co-owner and CEO of the organization, and under the helm of his leadership, he's grown the company from one location to four, including a pretty new, within about the last year and a half.
Labor Day 2023.
Yeah, they opened a 90,000 square foot showroom and warehouse, and it's fantastic. It's in Fairview Heights, Illinois. If you haven't seen it, you should. Fourth generation family owned business. So I love that. I truly believe you're living the American dream, which is not always easy, right? Running a family owned business. A couple things about business. They have 10 times their business since 2011, and they've 4 times their business since 2017. And what's even more impressive about those stats is that occurred in a very mature industry. Home furnishings. So very impressive that they're taking some equity points away from some of the big dogs in that industry. And lastly, I got to share this. They were awarded the Retailer of the Year by the #1 furniture trade group in the United States, which I believe is called Home Furnishings Association. Is that correct?
Yep. That's kind of like the Oscar for furniture
marketing.
He's
got the
positive
Oscar.
vibration.
Well, thank you for joining us, and let's make sure we dive right in
mattress
here.
retail store.
Describe what
I'm
you
not
do
in the business
so an
of
8th
selling
grader would
furniture and
understand
mattress. I'm in the business of marketing my furniture retail store. And that was a change. I actually read a book not so long ago that kind of changed my thinking and thought, yeah, that actually makes more sense.
What was the book?
101 ways to make $1 million more this year in your furniture or mattress company.
Oh, wow. So very specific. Fantastic.
Yeah. Yes.
So those are some terms that you've mentioned that mean different things to different people. So like when Mark Mueller says marketing, tell me what that means for you, because each business would use that differently.
So revenue generating, so that's advertising. That's also public relations. I think it marketing the business, but also networking. I would break it down into those things. Advertising, and then there's a million different venues and mediums you can use to advertise. So advertising itself is a very complicated subject. And then public relations, and then your networking, just person to person, boots on the ground. Think of a political campaign. Like they network as good as anybody.
Excellent. I love that. In terms of the furniture industry, clearly you're leveraging what I call modern tools, social media marketing, which is so silly that we call it social media. It's just marketing, right, with modern tools. But also you guys use some traditional approaches that still seem to convert and be useful. Billboards, right?
Billboards and direct mail would be kind of the most old-fashioned, but then radio. So when you're in a market like St. Louis, if you have multiple locations, your ability to convert on a radio ad is huge. I mean, when we just had the one store in Belleville, we're here, and then we opened up another store here, but the ad was playing to that whole audience, but you could only convert here. Now I can convert there and here and there. So 4 different spots. So anyway, radio and television are really amplified by multiple locations across the metro.
I love that. And one other thing he didn't mention that he also does in terms of hats he wears or roles he serves at Mueller, he's also the spokesman for the company. So he's literally, his face is on TV promoting the business. Tell me about that, because a lot of my clients that are owner, founder, and operators, they don't like that. They're not natural there, and you've got some real skills. So talk a little bit about that.
It's practice. One, I happened to be, when I first became the spokesperson, I would have been in my late 20s and thought myself to be at least decent looking at that point. And my target audience are, 45 to 64-year-old females. And I thought, you know what, I'm a happy, likable, attractive human being. And, I think it'll help bring them in. Right. And so, you don't oversell that fact, but I mean, the couch did flirt with me and it became one of the most recognized commercials in St. Louis. And it's funny, it's just funny. We're having fun with it all. So that and the fact that nobody else wanted to do it, or I would have had to pay someone to do it, then, it became a no-brainer that I would take a shot. And, I would say that doing a little bit of acting, actually, it made me a much better public speaker and, television personality. So I would advise anybody that wants to get into PR or, be a spokesperson for a company, get on stage or, make short film, do a movie.
Yeah. I'll extend that. So with pure acting, I'll extend it to role playing. That's important for leadership because there's a lot coming at you that you can't predict. And part of it is being able to rein in your emotions, control impression management, give off an impression that you are feeling very differently than on the inside. And so I think that that's good advice for anybody in business.
Yeah.
Here's a question. You're good at your job. You've done a lot of roles at Mueller Furniture over the years since you've been working there full time. Tell us why you're good, man. Like, this is a spot. Don't be humble. Like, tell us, what makes Mark Mueller good at his job?
Tenacious problem solving. Just you're going to when that wall shows up, you got to go around it, either side, over it, under it, before so things are going to pop up. It is not going to go the way you draw it up on board. And when it does, celebrate the heck out of that, because that rarely happens, and so just being really tenacious about, there's just no other option than success. And so sometimes it takes an effort and a commitment that some people would say, well, this isn't fair. This is too much. It's not fair. Well, leadership is not fair. But that's why you get paid better. Right. Get paid better because you have decided and committed to and agreed not to fail out of a job that has a large responsibility that isn't show up at 10 a.m. and leave at 6 p.m. It's something that involves much, much more commitment than that.
It becomes part of your identity, especially so if it is a family-run business where your name is literally on the side of the building.
Yeah. And we've caught some really good macro trend tailwinds. When I started, it wasn't all that cool to be a family-owned business. I mean, when we were in high school, nobody talked about, oh, hey, you're a furniture company. That's so cool. It was like, okay, can you be a doctor or a lawyer? If not, you're a loser. That wasn't out there. But now it's like, oh, if you can have your own business, it's the American dream. Anyway, it was something that it grew on me, and I'm happy that I had the opportunity that my dad kept the business around until I was a grown up enough to choose to jump in or not.
Nice. Something else you mentioned to me that I think you put in as part of your packet to determine if Mueller was, in the runnings to win that award is extreme competence?
Yes. So we run on EOS, and it's been a very helpful thing for us to do over the last couple of years to kind of transition from my dad in his role, and he retired, and so we had to transition, figure out a new way to do things. So in EOS, we created our core values and mission statement, and it's great because we can be intentional about it. So extreme confidence, it drives me nuts when I go to a place and they don't know what they're talking about. You go to a clothing store, they don't know how to, help you put an outfit together. You go to a tire store and they don't know anything about what tires your car should have. And I'm like, look, man, I don't know the answers to this, but my car, low profile, this thing here, it requires different tires than this SUV over here. Which ones are good for what? And if they don't know that, like, oh, give me a break. Come on. Like, that's why I'm here. Right. So people come into a furniture mattress store, we better know everything about what we have to offer, when we can deliver it, and based on our past successes and hopefully not that many failures, what to avoid. We want people to avoid making big monetary mistakes because a sofa can very easily be a $20,000 mistake when you look at all the ramifications of making a bad choice. So
yeah,
our job as professionals to lead you into the right choice that's going to last in your home.
Fantastic. And having worked with you both as a client and then just knowing you for 30 years, it'd be hard to find somebody that knows more about their product than you. And you take passion in it. Like, you seem to have actual joy, not just helping share that information with your customers. Just staying on top of the trends. You seem to like it.
In the last 4 weeks, I've been to Shipshewana, Indiana, Mount Hope, Ohio, High Point, North Carolina, and Bern, Indiana. And you know how many furniture store owners have been to that many places to just see everything that's available? Not many. I don't. One probably, me, you know. And so, but why I do that is because I have to really make sure that I'm putting the best options out. I only have limited square footage, and I got to make sure the absolute best product is at my store. And so, you know, and you meet the people, and you learn to tell the stories. You learn to tell, like, you find out about what inspired them to design a certain collection. So then you can tell the customer about it, and stories, especially at the high end, stories and emotional ties are what move product at the upper end price points. And that's where we're at.
Nice. Talk a little bit more. You're starting to talk about storytelling, emotions. What role does communication play in your daily job throughout the different roles that you wear?
So I kind of think of it two ways: my public communication, which we've just talked about a little bit, but also internally. And so, like, I mean, it's kind of I just kind of thought of it. It's a bit of a joke, but I mean, I'm sort of a cheerleader for grown-ups at times, you know, and it's just, sometimes it's just necessary to pump people up a little bit and get them as excited as I am about what the heck's going on in our furniture business.
Yeah.
And so basically, it's one of the things that that I really have enjoyed doing, and through EOS implementation and creating our core values, is connecting our core purpose with the work that the employees are doing, right? Like, and so that has been one of the biggest things that's allowed us to scale, is being able to connect our core purpose and what we're trying to do with the menial tasks that go into it.
Yeah. It's like the story of the 3 bricklayers. Have you heard that?
I don't know that one.
Yeah. Well, it's
right.
famous from an architect, but an English architect was on site and saw some guys building something and walked over and said, "Hey, what are you doing?" And the first bricklayer says, "I'm building a wall." And the guy's like, "Okay, yeah, clearly." And the second guy's like, "We're building a building." He's like, "All right." And the third guy's like, "We're building a cathedral to honor God." And it's that sense of belonging that you're talking about, to the bigger purpose of what's going on, to help people, the tier 1 employees, they're a little further down the org chart, maybe not building the company strategy, but to understand how getting my tickets in on time positively impact the growth of the business and our customers' desires.
It has to. You cannot disconnect yourself, at least at our level. I mean, we've got 62 employees, you know, but I mean, they say that I don't care if your company has 10,000 employees. If you lose track of what the heck is happening at the ground level where the transactions take place, if you lose quality there, that's the end. That's the beginning of the end right there.
Nice.
So, like our delivery guys, you know, when our delivery guys are at the home, putting the furniture in, like, they are Mueller Furniture. You know, they are Mueller Furniture. Just you let them know, like, hey, when you are waiting on customers, you are Mueller Furniture.
Yep. I love it. And some folks, if they do the handoff buying, somebody else buys and then somebody else is home with the delivery, all they're going to see is the delivery crew.
Exactly. Now, the other thing I'll say, talk about communication with, is know how much time you have. Sometimes when you're in a showroom, they're not about to listen to my 5-minute talk about, you know, seeing the wood chips at Freeman Mass Workshop, right? Like, they don't, like, you got to read them. And sometimes you might have to deliver your value proposition in 15 seconds, which goes a little something like, did you know that almost 91% of furniture sold in this country is imported, mainly made of particle board and veneers? And 100% of the wood furniture that you're looking at right now is solid wood and made in the United States. So that, I mean, there you go. That was about 15 to 20 seconds. So it gets people's attention. And then it's like, do I have 15 seconds? Do I have 90 seconds? Do I have 3 minutes? And just kind of know how much time you have to deliver whatever kind of message you can deliver. And I've heard politicians talk about that, like, know your 15-second answer, know your 30-second answer, know your 90-second answer. And that's important stuff.
Absolutely. And I think on a leadership side, it can be almost, 30 seconds, 30 minutes for your team, depending on the type of meeting you're trying to have and deliver.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What would you say the relationship is with communication and then being what I would call, I don't know if you view yourself this way, as an owner-operator, to where you're definitely not a passive owner of the business. You're still in there doing a lot of operating. What's the role of communication as you're literally having to switch hats, strategy, team building, leadership development, market analysis? I need to go deliver furniture. Tom didn't show up. Like, what's that like?
Merchandise. Yeah. I mean, I just got done merchandising here at the store in Ellisville. I didn't realize that there is a bit of a disconnect sometimes. Like, okay, is Mark talking to me as the integrator or as the visionary? And so sometimes I will just, like before we start, I'll just say, hey, this is my integrator hat. And, and just literally talk, say, hey, all right, I'm now Mark, your furniture moving helper, right?
Yeah.
What are we doing? And so I'll like kind of announce what role I'm, or, hey, let's think big picture here, like vision with me, right? Like, and kind of say how I'm communicating, as it's going on.
I love
before it happens.
Right. It's a disclaimer. It's what I call, when I'm working with clients, leaders specifically, know your echo. One of the most common things that leaders do wrong, especially either founders or entrepreneurs, family-led as well, is they think that their voice sounds the same as everybody else's in the organization. And they're like, man, I was just brainstorming with these guys and they all went off and thought I was giving them orders because the voice sounds different. So it tells me you've got an awareness like, hey, I'm wearing this hat in this conversation. That's helpful to people.
That awareness is new. Because I started as one of 10 employees, and at the bottom, I mean, I was unloading trucks and taking overflow, and just like you start at the bottom and you say things, and then all of a sudden you're the owner and CEO, and everybody looks to you for things. So it's just kind of knowing and understanding that, yeah, all right, what I say really does matter. I choose my words very, very carefully. I err on the side of not saying and keeping it to the vest a little bit, but I'm actively working on trying to just find that sweet spot, because people want to know, but if you don't communicate it in the right way, they take it the wrong way. It's got negative effects.
Communication's a moving target, and it's different depending on who you're communicating with.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, no, absolutely. So that's the thing you walk and you work through, and you try to figure out what's working, and just try to hit that moving target.
Let me ask one or two more questions, and then I'll let you go. Now that you really have taken on what I'd call that true ownership, true leader, really having to guide a pretty big ship now at this spot, having to do a lot less, I would assume, individual contributor sales, literally out on the floor selling furniture as often. What do you miss about sort of the old days when you didn't have all that responsibility?
I miss I'm trying to build a company that runs so perfectly that all I do is answer the phone when customers call shopping for furniture, and I help salespeople in the store sell furniture. I want everything to work so smoothly that I can spend a big chunk of my time doing that, because I add a ton of value when I do that. And nothing happens until something gets sold. And in our business, Ron Wanek, the founder of Ashley Furniture, the largest company in the furniture company in the world, he says it's all about that magic 3 feet, the 3 feet between the customer and the salesperson in the store, and that's the magical 3 feet, and tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars, and added up over months, millions of dollars are won and lost in the magical 3 feet, and I want to play a part in that, which means everything else has to be going really, really well.
I love it. Build systems and processes that keep the ops going so you can help focus on the revenue generation and adding value for your sales team and your customers.
It's special. How many times, especially in a bigger company, do you get to talk to the owner and the owner is actually contributing to the whole process and help. Like, it's cool. It's cool for them.
When you talked about stories, talk about the best. Everyone wants to be like, I talked to Mueller at Mueller Furniture. He was on the. Everyone wants to share that. That's how stories begin to spread.
Yeah, no, he carried my couch out of the store.
Right. Absolutely. Well, leave us with something. Give us some kind of action item that you would encourage audience members to think about. Either it can be anything we've talked about, communication stuff, revenue generation, marketing ideas, whatever.
Well, I'll start with a real short one. Do not send a direct mail advertisement directly to your customer list for the next 6 to 12 months. They're not delivering the mail on time, so don't waste your money. You can still send it to targeted carrier routes within a zip code, and those are getting delivered fine, but do not address anyway. So that's a short one.
I like
it'll save somebody thousands of dollars, hopefully. But every great coach, every great leader, they boil things down real clearly. Clarity, a great director makes it real clear to his actors what they want. A great football coach, Bill Belichick and Nick Saban were talking about that, about how just spelling it out really crystal clear about what does great work look like for this person's position. And then, so you communicate very clearly about what it takes, and then, connect in doing this job to extreme competence, how that's going to allow us to fulfill our mission, which in our case is putting the family in furniture. And that means a lot of different things. We're literally putting people in furniture, but we're also giving you a family feel, and employees. It's for our employees too. We're putting the family in a corporation, and it feels good. So, connecting it all together so that they understand how meaningful their work is.
Fantastic. So a quick summary of some things Mark talked about that I think is important. If I could pick one word, it is clarity, as it relates to not just communication, but really everything we do as a business owner and a family member is important. He has situational awareness. He's able to adapt messaging on the spot, in the fly, depending on who's there and what the needs are of that situation. He talked about not losing quality and what I call the last mile, so to speak, right? Boots on the ground, the magical 3 feet. I love that. And being a cheerleader for grownups, it's important because motivation, it needs to be refilled. So a lot of times leaders need to share their motivation with their team while other people are refilling it internally on their own. Celebrating wins. You feel the market, man. Like you just felt you were in the trenches, getting the stories, sharing the stories. To me, a furniture business, it is about feel. It's about touch. There's the texture to it. So I love that, what I'd call ethnographic research, getting out and being in touch with the market. And I think this summarizes it best. There's no other option other than success.
Yeah, that's it.
Nice, man. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. I know people are going to love this show. And as always, enjoy your afternoon, buddy.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to contact me further, I'm not hard to find. 4 furniture stores in St. Louis, mark@muellerfurniture.com. Happy to help.
Yep, all over LinkedIn. Shoot, he gives out his cell phone number, so give him a call if you need furniture.
We're shipping nationwide.
There you go. Fantastic. All right, thanks, Mark.
Thanks for having me, Zach.